My first job I went for, I was engaged, and the chief QS said, "Look, is that an engagement ring? You're not going to do anything about it, are you?" "Oh, no. But I wouldn't have got the job if I'd said, "Well, actually, I'm getting married in 3 months." And I think it's fantastic that the three of you have come from one office. I've never been privileged enough to actually work with another female quantity surveyor.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's great that you have each other for support.
So you had to work harder than the rest of your male colleagues. Were there any other challenges that you felt like you faced that maybe we will still face today, or that we won't?
I think I was quite lonely, and that's why I'm really glad that the three of you are there. You know, it's being the only girl in a class of 30 18-year-old boys just wasn't easy. And coming from my background, I was so shy then. You wouldn't believe how shy I was. And it took me a few years to learn to speak my mind. But yeah, I think it's to develop those networks, as you say, with other organisations and, as with each other in your environment.
So, on the topic of career breaks and things like that, as Ridha touched on earlier, we're seeing the number of women in the industry decline, not increase the way that we would want to. So what do you think that we can do to support retaining women in the RICS, or just in the surveying profession generally?
I'd probably sort of say, like, for myself, I don't really know what I want to do, what's going to happen in my life, if I will lead a career break or anything like that. So it's probably good having that information early on, so that I know what I can expect in the future. And if I know what to expect, then I can sort of prepare for that, and it means that I'm probably less likely to look elsewhere or like panic a little bit. That information is there for me early on.
I think, well, as you mentioned before, with RICS being more involved in the industry, leading people's careers, so making sure that they're there every step of the way. So if women are running, if they have these questions about, well, I've been in my career for a certain amount of time, I want to progress more, I want to do this, maybe having more involvement with organisations like RICS, and having that in the back of their head, that sense of comfort. Well, I can progress in my career, I've got the support that I need, I don't need to look elsewhere. So I think extra support.
I think that flexibility we talked about as well is important. That organisations and companies have to learn to be flexible. As you say, you don't know what the future holds for you. What you want to do it may be that your particular aspect of work isn't suited to your particular circumstances at that time. And the ability to move over or switch around a little bit is really important.
Do you think that retention of women in the industry is being tainted maybe by what you experienced, Kathryn? So where you wanted to go back to work, but you had to take a pay cut in order to go, and a status cut to go back to work. Do you think that's a deterrent for people? They think, well, I've worked for so long, I've proved myself once, I don't want to have to go and start completely all over again.
I think it could be, but equally I think if you have a more flexible organisation, what I would have liked to have done would be to have worked very part-time. I did actually get a job with a different organisation, just working one short day a week, and that saved my sanity in a way. Being able to get away and get back to feeling, well, actually, I can make these big decisions, I can do this. And that sort of keeps you thinking, yeah, I'm good at this job, I can do it, I want to move forward with it. So I think flexibility is very key across organisations, companies, any employer. I think we need to support each other as well, just make sure that networking goes on, and that we feel we're in part of an important group. That we work together.
I think that's something that we have really nice in Yorkshire. I know that there's the National Association of Women in Construction is a national organisation, but I think we're quite lucky in Yorkshire that we have quite a tight group of women from all over the industry. So I know we have architects and valuation surveyors through to civil and structural engineers in there. So it's a really nice network of women where you can just go and get the support that sometimes you don't get from your male peers at work.
It's just that sharing experience and seeing that it's like you might not necessarily think that I'm alone in this, like I'm the only person experiencing this. It's like people have been in that situation before, they've dealt with it, this is what they sort of support and give advice to, and that you might in the future give that advice to someone who's at sort of earlier on in their career, that it's those shared experiences that probably do bring people sort of closer together. But it's also like you've also got all these support groups and like associations that you can get involved in as well. So it's like highlighting that if you maybe might be in an office space or you might be on site where you have these worries, that there's so many people out there that you can just go and speak to, there's people that you can connect to, and that it's just this whole network that we can all get involved in and all help each other. And it's just that sort of side of it as well, I think probably needs to be shown, that if you do feel that sometimes you might be alone, you might be struggling, you might not know how to deal sort of in this environment, that there's people out there who have been in it and they'll be able to help you and support you along the way as well.
And I think it's fantastic that the three of you have come from one office. I've never been privileged enough to actually work with another female quantity surveyor.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's great that you have each other for support.
So we've spoken a lot on past experiences and everything. What would you say that probably more for you, Ridha and Megan, that the world of surveying, what would you ideally like to see? What sort of situations would you like to be in?
I want to see more women in senior positions. I want to see women, leading companies, managing teams. I want to see women leading the industry and leading surveying, so that I can look to those women and say, yeah, there is a path for me to do that because it's already been done. Whereas at the moment now, I think there's not enough women in senior positions for me to say, yes, there is a clear pathway for me to replicate to also be in a senior position one day.
Make it look like a role model that you, like that is possible, that you can do that.
Yeah, because I think there are a lot of strong women role models in the industry, but there's just not enough of them because they're not given access to that sort of space.
They're spread a bit thin on the ground.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I think exactly the same as Megan's point. I want to see women in senior positions as well. And I think that ties in nicely with how can keep women within the construction industry, how can organisations support women staying in the industry, and that's by giving them that chance, showing them that they are doing the exact same as anyone else doing. They have that opportunity to go into managerial senior positions. Right now we have, the industry might be improving, probably not growing, will all be at a small pace, but they're not going into managerial or senior positions. So I think I think that needs to be touched upon to then make a clear path for graduates like yourself with me to see that, well, if, we can see that, so we can be it. We can get into that, we can dig it. Definitely, we can do it. Right now, we don't see that, do you?
You have to believe when you start out that there is a future that's worth achieving.
Yeah. Because I think that's what drives women to leave the industry. Or it's fun to start, it's interesting. I've done the degree, I want to go into construction, but where can I see myself in 10 years' time? Is the progression there for me?
But I don't think that is the sole responsibility of women. I don't think that it's women not putting themselves forward for those roles. I think it's our male counterparts being advocates for their female employees and saying, well, no, actually, she does have the capability to do this and she should be given the opportunity to do so. And I think it's the responsibility of men in the industry to help open those doors, because you
can have that open mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
And not fit people in boxes.
Yeah.
My first job I went for, I was engaged and knew I was getting married 3 months later. And the chief QS said, is that an engagement ring? Yeah. You're not going to do anything about it, are you? Oh, no. But I wouldn't have got the job if I'd said, well, actually, I'm getting married in 3 months. It's, it's accepting that just because someone's getting married, it doesn't mean the end of their career.
Yeah. I think the same can be said for maternity and going through menopause, things like that women experience and are seen as a slight on their career progression, but really it's just a natural part of life. It shouldn't have any implications on your career, good or bad.
But it's things like this, like these events, and like we're sort of sat here talking, that it does make sort of people in your position to know that something is getting done, that there will be improvements, and then maybe we just need to bear in mind that it's not going to happen overnight. That like if everyone is working together, doing their part, that we're going to be in a much better place, and there's going to be much more opportunities available for everybody, and that it is something to look forward to and to both be able to experience within the industry at the same time, seeing these changes. Sort of like yourself, when you see the change sort of in 50 years, that it's hopefully we can sort of see something similar when we're in our careers.
Yeah. So I wouldn't like to see myself thinking at this stage that I want to leave the construction industry. I want to stay within the industry and have this as my career path, but it's
a two-way thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's a two-way.
You're prepared to give, but the industry's got to be a bit of something back to keep you there.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Ruby, I think it's talks like this, discussions like this, that are produced by organisations like RICS that are available for everyone to watch, to see what actually these topics are, hot topics in the industry, and they're not only being spoken about, but there's something that will be doing regarding this topic. So I think
It's not
quite
interesting.
interesting. We like Jason's mind.